Good morning, students. I'm Krishna ma'am. Welcome to my English class. Today we are going to learn chapter 2 of Hornbill, and the name of the chapter is We Are Not Afraid to Die If We Can All Be Together. This chapter is written by Gordon Cook and Alan East. Okay, and the story is an account from The Schooner to the Southern Ocean, written by the narrator, which is his sea voyage account. Now let's see what will we learn in this chapter. First of all, we will learn what is the aim. What is the aim of this chapter? Because whatever we read, whatever we study, there should be an aim for that. So the aim of the story is that the narrator, that is Captain Gordon Cook. He wanted to reenact sea voyage journey undertaken 200 years before by Captain James Cook. He was very much inspired by that journey, and 200 years later he wanted to copy the same journey. So this time he decided to take his small family with him. Now, after that we will see the characters. In the character, he went along with his small family, small but brave family. Okay, in that family it consisted of the narrator, who was 37 years old, and he was a businessman. And there was his wife, Mary. Mary was a very dedicated wife, because whatever her husband does, she will simply follow that, and she will listen to her husband. Now there was their daughter, Suzanne. Suzanne was only 7 years old, but she was a very brave girl, and we will know about her more when we go inside the chapter. And along with them there was Jonathan, their son, who was only 6 years old. But even though he was only 6 years old, children, do you know the title of the story was derived from a sentence told by Jonathan himself. Small boy, while taking the journey, there were some mishaps, okay, and in that he motivated his, he gave strength to his father, that father, okay, don't worry, we are not afraid to die if we can all be together. Means he made up his mind that he is ready to die along with his family when the family is together. So he says, Papa, don't worry, we are not afraid. Okay, and along with that, there were two more characters who will follow them in between the journey. In the middle of the journey, when they arrive to the Cape Town, they will take two crewmen. That is, one is American, Larry Vigil, and the second one is a Swiss person, Herb Siegel. So they will take these two persons along with them to help them in the journey. So now let's see what will we learn in this chapter. First of all, I told you what is the aim of the journey. Okay, second one, the characters. Third one, we will learn the detail of the journey, and we will learn about the detail of journey when we read the chapter. I'll tell you about it later in your other video tomorrow. Okay, and in that video we will learn about the name and feature of the boat by which the journey was undertaken, and the route also will be covered in that part. Children, further in this story, in this book, we will also learn what happened to them. What happened to them? Well, this is an adventurous story, and while you will study, while you read the book, you will see that many things happened to them, and they went through a lot of things, and they faced near death in that voyage. And we will also study what steps were taken by them. What steps were taken by them and how they survived. In this story, the narrator has very well explained how optimism, determination, and strong willpower taken by anybody can let them come out of the stress and come out of the mishaps. So now, in very, very short, I'll just tell you a summary of the story. That is, now children, Gordon Cook, along with his wife, they started the journey in 1976, and the journey was not started like that. They spent 16 golden years of their youth honing their seafaring skills before they start the journey. Now, what is this honing their seafaring skills? You will find this phrase in your book when you learn that, and tomorrow I'll cover those lines. Honing seafaring skills means they practice their skills to take journey on sea, means whatever they have to handle there. They practice there. They practice the seafaring skills on the British seas. So when they take the journey and when they face any problem, they can tackle that, they can handle that. So finally they started for the voyage, and they took their children, Suzanne and Jonathan, with them. Now the journey was planned for 3 years. Okay, for 3 years, and the first part of the journey, that is from Plymouth to Cape Town, it went out very pleasantly. It was a very happy journey, and they covered 105,000 kilometers in that journey. Now, that was the first part of the journey. First part of the journey, it went very well. When they arrived at Cape Town, they knew that now they have to enter into the most dangerous ocean, that is the Southern Indian Ocean. Children, Southern Indian Ocean is very difficult to travel. But when they have to take the world voyage, they have to enter into that sea. So when they reached Cape Town, they decided that they cannot travel with the family alone. Now they have to take professional help. So they hired 2 crewmen. One was American crewman whose name was Larry Vigil, and the second was a Swiss crewman whose name was Herb Siegler. So both of them hired these 2 people to help them handle the journey after that. So this is the first part of the journey. That was a happy ending of the journey. So now, tomorrow I'll continue with the second part of the journey. That is the real thrilling, where all these things come from, okay? And that journey will start from Cape Town onwards, and I will cover that journey tomorrow. Until that time, thank you very much for listening to me. See you tomorrow. Have a good day, children. Good morning, children. Krishna ma'am here. Let's continue with the English class. Yesterday we had an introduction of the chapter, We Are Not Afraid to Die If We Can All Be Together. Yesterday I gave a short idea of what we're going to learn in this story. So today let's open the book and see what we have inside here. It's a very interesting story. I hope all of you have the book now. In case you don't have the book, you can get the PDF file from the internet. Okay. So yesterday I told you what was the aim of the journey of Gordon Cook. He wanted to enact, he wanted to copy, he wanted to duplicate the journey undertaken by Captain James Cook 200 years before. He was very impressed by that, and he wanted to take that journey, he wanted to take that voyage. And this time he decided that he will undertake the journey with his family. So, as you learned yesterday, in his family there were 4 members. That is Gordon Cook himself, his wife Mary, his daughter Suzanne, and his son Jonathan. So all 4 of them, they got ready to set for sail. Okay, so it was July 1976. 4 of them, they started for the journey. And I'll just remind you once again that before starting this journey in July 1976, they spent 16 years. They spent 16 years honing their seafaring skills in British waters. That is in your books here. So what is honing? Honing means sharpening or improving. And seafaring skills means skills to survive on the sea, because they're going a sea voyage. So they have to practice how to survive in the sea winds, how to survive when the weather gets worse or wrong. So that is honing their skill, honing their seafaring skills. So the couple practiced that for 16 years. So when they started the journey, this man, Gordon Cook, he was 37 years old. So he must be that time 21 years old when he practiced, when he decided that I would undertake this journey. So since that time, he started practicing that. So let's continue on the chapter. Finally, he made up his mind that I'll undertake the journey, and they set off the journey on July 27th. In July 1976. And the name of the boat, that was Wave Walker. The name was very good. Wave Walker means boat which will walk on the wave. And it was a beautiful 23 meters. It was 23 meters and 30 tons boat. And this is the hull. It was a wooden hull body, beautiful body of wood. Wooden hull. Hull means the structure of the boat was made by strong wood. I have made a small diagram of the boat because once you go inside the chapter, you will need to know all these words, because all these words will come when he will go into the storm, when the storm happens. Okay, that time you will need to know these words. I have written it over here. Fine. So it was a professionally built boat, and the couple spent many months practicing on the roughest weather possible, so they can tackle it once they are on the voyage. So they set up sail. The family went together with him, and the planned journey was for 3 years. 3 years, and the first part of the 3 years, that is 105,000 kilometers. That was the first part of the journey. That went by very smoothly and very pleasantly. There was no hurdles in between. As you can see in the diagram, children, this is the journey. You will see in the diagram. Okay, so that was a very short route I showed you on that. So you can see that they started the journey from Plymouth, England to Cape Town. That was the first leg of the journey. So once they reached Cape Town, they knew that now they have to hire somebody. Now 4 of them cannot sail alone because the sea was very treacherous. It was the Southern Indian Ocean. Southern Indian Ocean was not a reliable ocean, and that was very treacherous one. So they have to take some professional help. So they hired 2 people, 2 crewmen, that is an American crewman, Larry Vigil, and a Swiss person, Herb Siegler, for that. And later on they would be very helpful for these people. So, okay, this is the first page. Now let's turn the page again. That was the second day out of Cape Town. Now, once they have reached Cape Town, they have hired these 2 people over here, and they will set off from there. And on the second day out of Cape Town, they began to encounter strong gales. Now the journey was no more smooth. Strong gales. Gales here, you can see gales mean extremely strong wind. So till now everything was very happy, very pleasant. But once out of Cape Town, once they turned east into Southern Indian Ocean, they faced strong gales, that is extremely strong wind. But somehow they have made up their mind, because once they are into the journey, once they are into the sea voyage, they knew that they would face something. So they have made up their mind somehow for these gales. They were not worried about the wind, but the thing that worried them more than that was the strong waves. Because the waves that time was as high as 15 meters. That is almost higher than their mast over here. The waves were very, very high. You can just imagine when small boat is going on, sailing, and the waves will just go so strong. So it will be frightful for them. Okay, so they sailed further until it was December 25th. And by the time they have sailed 3,500 kilometers away from Cape Town. From Cape Town, they've turned east and have traveled 3,500 kilometers till it was December 25th, and it was time for them to celebrate Christmas. It was a major festival for them and the family, along with the 2 crewmen. They celebrated the Christmas on this boat, on the Wave Walker, okay, in a jolly mood, along with the Christmas tree. Till the time until now, we were in the section 1, part 1, phase 1 of the journey. Now, we will come into the second part. We'll come to the second part. Here, there will be a shift in the narration. There will be a shift in the narration, and the tone of the narration will be from cheerful to intense, because from this day the trouble will start. Now I will take you into that part again. Follow me. Till then, have a good time. Thank you, Mamia. We are learning chapter We Are Not Afraid to Die If We Can All Be Together, written by Gordon Cook and Ellen East. Now today will be the last part of that chapter. What did we learn till yesterday? Yesterday we were learning what happened to them in January 2nd. They had a terrible time. They had a very bad time fighting. They had a war. They had a war with the sea on January 2nd. So what was the consequence of their war with the sea? They managed to take the water out. They managed to pump the water out of the boat. And now, let's see what the book says. By morning of January 3rd, they could pump. They could means the narrator along with the 2 crewmen. They could manage to pump out so much of water that they could be relieved. And when they were relieved, finally they managed to take rest. They managed to take a nap, turn by turn, for 2 hours each. There were 6 of them. So they managed to take rest for 2 hours each in turn. Okay, but still, the danger done by the waves, the danger done by the storm was so much, so extensive, that it could not be in the same way. So they have to do something now. And the main ribs reframe was smashed down to the keel. Now what is the keel? The drawing of the boat is not sure. The keel is a small wooden or metal part at the bottom of the boat. Which helps the boat in keeping the balance in the sea. It will not tumble down. It will keep balance because of the heavy weight. So it was damaged up to that part. The boat was smashed there. So till January 3rd, what did he write? That we have survived 15 hours since the wave hit. So till that time, the boat helped them stay on the boat and survive on the boat in the wave for 15 hours. But it was not so much strong that they could take it up to Australia, because that was the next continent from there. So it was not able to take them up to Australia. So they have to get in between somewhere. So what did he decide? So finally he looked into the chart and he saw that in that ocean, southern Indian Ocean, there was the nearest island. The nearest island was small, 2 small islands. One was the nearest one was Isle Amsterdam, and it was a very, very small one. So what did he write was French scientific base, and that was the only hope. And the hope to reach there was like pinpricks in the vast ocean. Now what is pinpricks? Pinpricks in the vast ocean means like a point of pin in the vast ocean. And here they refer to this. Context means here they refer to the island. The island in this vast ocean is like a pinpoint. Children, the ocean was almost 150,000 kilometers wide, while the island itself was only 65 kilometers wide. So just imagine so much of wide ocean and a very small island. So it was like pinpricks in the vast ocean, but that was the only hope for them. Somehow they have to take the boat up to that island. They have to reach there. They have to reach there because the main mast was also the sail mast. Main sail mast was also destroyed, and the main thing was that the auxiliary engine was out of action. The main engine was out of order, and the auxiliary engine, they had spare one for them. Even that was out of order. So that is what happened to them in January 3rd. Okay, they were unable to make it to Australia, so they have to decide to take the boat to Isle Amsterdam. Now, let's come to January 4th. January 4th. What happened that day? After 36 hours continuous pumping, we reached the last few centimeters of water. Okay, so but still by that time they could not sail the main mast because that was destroyed. So they had to hoist the storm jib, the small storm jib they had, and that storm jib would let them manage the sail up to Isle Amsterdam. They have to use the sail somehow. Without that, they cannot sail into the ocean. So they hoist the storm jib. Okay, but even that was very short. That day they had their first meal in 2 days. Since last 2 days they could not have any meal because the situation was very bad for them. They faced almost near-death situation those days. But that day they had the first meal in 2 days. That was corned beef and some crackers they were having. In the reserve they had that. But even that was short-lived because at 4 p.m. situation changed again. What did happen? How? The weather changed for the worst. It changed for the worst, and black clouds began building up again. Now, what was the black cloud? Children, do you remember what was the black cloud on January 2nd? That was a great wave. They have overclouding them over the ship. So that cloud came again, and the wind was very, very heavy. The wind was very strong. It was almost 40 knots. It was blowing almost 40 knots, so it was difficult for them to control the boat. And the seas, with the rising wind, the seas were getting higher and higher also, and the weather continued to become worse throughout the night. Throughout the night, the weather did not get better. Instead, it became worsened. So the night passed by January 5th, early morning, they almost lost their hope. So that day, they had a fear of death. Okay, fear of death loomed them that day. And the narrator was under stress because he was having his whole family with him. He was having 2 other crewmen with him. So he has to think of the life of all those people. So he was under stress. So that day he went to his children's cabin again. He went there to talk to them, and that was the day which was a turning point for them. Why it was turning point? Because when he went there to comfort his children, he was almost spellbound. He was spellbound by what Jonathan said to him. He never ever imagined that such a small boy of 6 could say those miraculous words to him. And what were those words? The boy asked jokingly, "Father, Papa, are we going to die?" He could not reply. The way he asked, he could not reply. Then Jonathan told Papa, "Don't worry, I'm not afraid to die." He told his father that till all of them are together, there's nothing to worry. He is not afraid to die. Just let us all stay together, and we have no fear of death. So he was very impressed with what Jonathan told, and that energizes him. The thing that Jonathan said to him, that was a turning point in his life. In his life, in the sense that that day he almost lost hope. He almost thought that they are going to die now. But when Jonathan says that we are not afraid till we all can be together, so don't worry. So that gave him an energy, and he started to plan. He started to find some way out to repair, to do all those things from again and again. So what did he do? To improve those things, he took the anchor of heavy nylon rope and 2 20-liter plastic barrels of paraffin. So he planned many things. He did all he could with the resources he had. With all those things, he planned everything he could to save the boat in the storm. But that evening, but the thing still did not get better. So that evening, he sat on the deck along with his wife Mary. They held holding hand together, and they were desperately sitting there. Why were they desperate? They were desperate that he knew that in spite of doing everything, in spite of using all the available resources, he was not able to do much. Because he knew that death is near now. But what happened now? That night passed. Now what happened on January 6th? January 6th again brought out a turn in the incident. The storm got better. It eased out. And with what his children told him, he got an inspiration from his children, because they were very brave, they were very courageous. So he did not give up. He got an energy, he got up, and he went into the chart room. And he worked with all the winds, with all the drift and current and all those things calculated to see the position of the boat in the sea. So he studied in the sextant. Now what's sextant? Sextant is the instrument for measuring the wind speed. And after that what he calculated that the island he planned to reach, that is Isle Amsterdam, that was only 65 kilometers wide, and the ocean he was in, that was 150,000 kilometers. So there was big difference. But while he was thinking, while he was calculating all those things, while he was seeing the sea position, Sue came. Her head was swollen so much that it worried him. But still, she comforted his father, and she gave a card. She made a card with some caricatures. Now, what is caricatures? Caricatures, some drawing the cartoon characters, that is caricatures. So she drew some caricatures of Mary and the narrator and gave it to her father, and she told, see, these are some funny people I know who make me laugh. And she gave the card to her father, and there was a message. The message is so beautiful that it energizes and enlivens her. What did she write there? The message there was to express her love, gratitude, optimism and good wishes for her father. And it meant to energize his father also. So when he got the card, he got up, he checked and rechecked, and he did all the calculation again. And after that he guided his crewmen about the position. And at about 2 p.m. he went to the deck and asked Larry, that is one of the crewmen, to turn the boat to 185 degree. Take that angle of 185 degree. And he told that if we are lucky enough, by taking this turn, we will reach to Isle Amsterdam. And that was 2 p.m. At 2 p.m. he told that if you take this angle, if you take this turn, perhaps by 5 p.m. we will be able to tap Isle Amsterdam. He told, because that was the only thing he could do. He told this, but after that, he went to take a dose, because he has almost lost his hope now. So he went to doze off, and he just left it to his luck, that if we are lucky enough, we will be able to tap this island, because his all this campus, everything was not also working. So he could just do the estimate calculation. So he went to sleep, and at 6 p.m., can you imagine what happened? When he opened his eyes, his children were standing in front of him, and he was surprised to see that it is 6 p.m. And he thought in his mind, the isle must have been left behind, because I estimated it to reach at 5 p.m. It's already 6 p.m. It must have gone behind now. But the children came and said they were in a very, very happy mood. And they told, Papa, can I hug you? He was surprised. They were very happy. And then they told, Papa, you're the very lovely father. You're the best daddy in the world. And after that, he went to the deck. And what did he see? He was surprised. I was surprised because he could see the Isle Amsterdam there in from that. So around 6 o'clock, they reached there. They reached at the isle. It was just a bleak piece of volcanic rock. It was not a beautiful island, because usually children, if we say island, we have a beautiful imagination in our mind that's very beautiful, with all of greeneries and blue sea and all those things with flowers. But it was not like that. Isle Amsterdam was just a volcanic rock with very little vegetation. But for this family, for the whole 6 people over there on the boat, it was like a piece of heaven. It was the most beautiful island in the world. Why? Because it gave a ray of hope to them. It was only the hope for survival for these people. And finally, when they were able to tap on this island, when they were able to lay their feet on this island, they knew that they got their life back. There is no fear of death now. Children, when the fear of death is gone, that is magic, that is miracle, and that is heaven. So for them, that was the most beautiful island in the world for them. They got down there, and they were welcomed by 28 inhabitants of those islands, local people of Ireland. They were very naive and innocent people. They welcomed them in the cheerful manner, and they stayed in that island a few days until they repaired their boat and headed for Australia. children, they could not complete their world voyage at that time. And after many years, Captain Gordon Cook had been awarded also for his bravery in surviving so much heavy storm and in managing to save life of 6 people on the boat. So he had been awarded many years later, I think in 2009 or something. Okay. So now let's come back to the story again. So they stayed there along with 28 inhabitants there, and they had a good time because they were good people, and they repaired their boat and went to Australia. When they were in Australia, Suzanne, she had 6 minor operations for the head injury, because that was not a small injury she was having. She was such a brave child, she was such a mature girl that she never let her father know that the injury was hurting so deep, that later when they were on land, she had to undergo 6 minor operations, and that was 6 minor operation because there was small clotting. There was small clotting of blood between the skin and the skull. So that was the story of a very brave family. And a 6-year-old boy, 6-year-old son, Jonathan, he played a very beautiful role. Very beautiful role because of what he said. There was a turning point in the story, and he got life inside himself. The story tells us that usually sometimes when adults, they give up and they could not work out what to do. They could not see any way out. When we have mature children, when we have intelligent children, when we have courageous children, in that time of desperation, the children, they showed them a way out. The children, they gave them a hope. And so this is the story. And I hope you will all enjoy the story, and you will all read the story again. When you read the story again, perhaps you will be confused because of the events. But what I suggest, and repeat again, note down the event according to the date. According to the date, that is after the journey has started. Initially, you can split it into initial parts, why the journey was taken, and you can make small notes about the boat, okay, and who all were the traveler, who all went on the voyage. And after that, when they are into the journey, just note down the event according to the date. Date-wise, the event would be very easy for you. So good luck for you, children. See you again in the next video, in the next chapter. Till then, have a very good time. Thank you for listening to me.